Good morning. We're ready to start Report Card Chapter 10. This chapter is called For Now. Remember, she'd gotten caught by the librarian. I had seen Miss Byrne almost every school day since the beginning of first grade, more than 700 school days. A lot of those days, I had spent more time in the same room with Miss Byrne than I had my mom or dad, so I'd had plenty of time to form a clear opinion about her. And in my opinion, Miss Byrne was one of the best people in the whole school. I had never seen her lose her temper, and she always seemed fair and open-minded, which makes sense. Why would a narrow-minded person be a librarian? And now Miss Byrne was standing in front of me, waiting. She wanted me to explain why a kid who just got a bunch of D's was exploring so many challenging subjects on the internet. One of the first things I learned at school was how to read a teacher's face. It's a school survival skill, and all kids become experts at it. But as we stood there face to face in the library, me looking up, her looking down, I could not figure out what was going on behind Miss Byrne's greenish-brown eyes. So I started off cautiously. I said, "I like to read about a lot of things." She smiled slightly. "I already know that much, Nora. I want to know about your grades. It's perfectly clear to me now that you are not a below-average student or even an average student. Far from it. And you've been hiding that from me and everyone else at school." She paused with her head tilted as she figured out something else. Then she said, "And your parents don't know how bright you are either, do they?" I shook my head. "So why have you been keeping this a secret?" she asked. I told her the truth in the simplest way I could. I said, I didn't want to be different all the time. I mean, I am different, and I know that. I just didn't want everyone else to treat me that way because it's not their business. Miss Byrne nodded slowly. "I can understand that, I think, but why the low grades?" I had to trust her. I had no choice. I said, "I did that on purpose. I'm trying to do something about grades. Everyone makes too big a deal about them." Miss Byrne's eyebrows scrunched together above her nose. She shook her head and said, "But why get D's? How can that help?" "Well," I said, "those D's already have my teachers and my parents and the principal thinking and talking about grades, right? And I hope they're going to think a lot more about grades and tests too, because I've got a sort of a plan." Then I looked her right in the eye and said, "Except if you tell on me, I don't think it will work." No expression. What are you trying to accomplish with this plan?" "Nothing bad," I said quickly. I almost started to tell about Stephen, but I didn't. I didn't want anyone to think he was involved, so I said, "Well, most kids never talk about it, but a lot of the time bad grades make them feel dumb, and almost all the time it's not true. And good grades can make other kids think that they're better, and that's not true either. And then all the kids start competing and comparing. The smart kids feel smarter and better and get all stuck up. And the regular kids feel stupid and like there's no way to ever catch up. And the people who are supposed to help kids, the parents and the teachers, they don't. They just add more pressure and keep making up more and more tests." Miss Byrne's eyes flashed and she shook her head sharply. "But the teachers don't like all this testing either. And I was not happy when they started making me give grades in library skills. That's not what the library is for. So don't think it's only the teachers. It's the school boards and the state and the federal government too." Then her pale cheeks colored just a hint. Miss Byrne tried to hide it, but she was embarrassed by that outburst. She hadn't meant to show me what she was feeling. But she had. I pretended not to notice. I said, "Well, anyway, we have to have the test and the grades. And of course, the grades are going to be used to sort us into different levels in sixth grade, the smart kids and the dumb kids. And I don't like the way it's done, and I want to try to change some things." Miss Byrne said, "Isn't this dangerous? For you, I mean, getting such bad grades?" I said, "Well, maybe, but it's sort of like I have immunity. I'm smart, and I know I'm smart, and I know that when I have to prove I'm smart, I'll be able to. My grades won't matter so much, not like they do for a lot of kids. And even if I do get into some trouble, I don't care. I'm not doing this for fun, and I'm not doing it for myself." I paused, and then I said, "And I think I can do it without any help. At least I hope so." That was bait, and Miss Byrne knew I was fishing, and she went for the hook anyway. What sort of help do you think you might need? And I knew I had been right about Miss Byrne. She was one of the good guys. I smiled up into her face. You'd do that? You'd help me? Miss Byrne said, I didn't say that, but I can't see any school rules that you've broken, and your parents would probably like to know that they've got a brilliant child living in their house, and I certainly think you should tell them, but that's between you and them. Her eyes searched my face. I don't know if I could help you in any direct way, but there's nothing in my job description that requires me to report on every conversation I have with every student, so this can be just between us, at least for now. Do you understand? I nodded. Yes, and that's a big help for now. Thanks, Miss Byrne. She nodded and smiled at me, but just barely. Underneath that smile, she was worried. I wasn't sure if she was worried for me or for herself. Probably for both of us.